offer the best grooming products for you. Guests are natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, your style, class, and luxury. We make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah. So get in style with the black, yeah. Grooming company to give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black gentleman, yeah. Company to give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.
Yo. What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back, welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormybman for this Monday, August 26, 2024. This is number 96 in the series of our Nerds show. And tonight we're talking about the cult film classic from 1982, Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, this is a movie that helped establish former bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger as he rose to fame in the action film circuit, kicked off with this film here. It was a match made in cinematic heaven because Arnold was the embodiment of the way that Conan looked in the comics. I mean, the original artist that drew him had him looking like a savage, but then there were specific artists who did the character even greater justice, the way he was drawn on the page. And so they brought him out to the film and to Hollywood, basically, the character, Conan, in a time when they were trying to reestablish the sword and sandal type films that were so popular in the late 50s and the early 60s. So Hollywood has a tendency to go right back and revisit genres. And that was the case with Conan, but no one expected this film, directed by John Milius, to come across so strongly. Anyone that saw this film in its original screening were moved with the action, with the depiction of the savagery, and it was very realistic, even though there were elements of fantasy and mysticism in this film. So we're going to talk about this movie a little bit this evening, and I have along with me for the ride, we got the brother Drew Titan in the building. What's going on with you, bro? How you doing this evening? Welcome to the show.
We're live, we're awake, and we're once again in the moment of nostalgia. And this is an all-time great. An all-time great. I'm gonna tell you what was funny about this film. This came out in '82, correct?
Yes.
There was still a drive-in theater in the Bronx. And it was kind of dangerous because I-95 is an overhead. And cars used to slow down and stop on the side of the highway. It was very dangerous. And they had to put it on the other screen. Do you know why? Because there's a scene in there where there's a woman that's topless and all you saw was a rack. Let's just say a rack of ribs for the whole Bronx to see on that giant movie screen. It was funny as hell. And I come from the era where if you was kind of young to be looking at something, you know, the elders would cover your eyes. It was funny, man. It was funny. But I saw this at the drive-in. And I'll never forget it. Listen, when I was a kid, there was a few things that caught my attention. All of it was about, heroes, villains, physical confrontation, and the hero wins, but bleeds to a win. That's why I loved Kung Fu films, and Conan the Barbarian gave me that, the mysticism, witches, a diesel hero with a sword, and a pretty good story, which I couldn't follow. I was 7 years old, but as I got older, when you can follow the story a little more, say, man, this was not bad. We're talking about Conan the Barbarian. Conan the Destroyer was a totally different animal. Similar cast, Arnold was in it, but you can tell the writing was different. It was a little more comic-y, but This was the original. It was true to the comic book character, and it was just great. It was just great.
Yeah, and the film was headed up. Like I said, the director of the film was John Milius, and he was noted at that time as a screenwriter and film director. He was a writer for the first two Dirty Harry films and received the Academy Award nomination as a writer of screenwriter for Apocalypse Now. He also directed the film The Wind and the Lion, which is also a classic from 1975, and Conan the Barbarian. Um, you know, his take on this film was bloodletting. He wanted to show the rawness of the barbaric world of Conan, and they cast prominent actors in the film. There was an artist who painted images of Conan for some of his graphics and just posters and everything, Frank Frazetta, and Arnold was like Frank Frazetta's interpretation of Conan come to life.
Yeah.
You know, and they found ways to build weapons, primarily swords and axes and everything, which Conan used in the comics to no end. But placing those items in the hands of Arnold Schwarzenegger and then putting him in the little bit of a costume, which consisted of like some cloth and coverings, but muscles everywhere. He looked like he stepped right off of Frank Frazetta's pages of his paintings.
Mm-hmm.
And John Milius wanted to capture all of that. Oliver Stone, a lot of people may not know, was a co-writer for this film early in his career. And again, the film was made on a budget of like $20 million at that time and shot in Spain and different parts of the world. But it brought in a general box office of over 79 million. So Conan was rocking, and that's why we got a sequel to it. The first film ends with the overtelling of Conan's exploits and mentioning the fact that he even became a king.
Mm-hmm.
And they showed this tremendous image of Arnold as Conan, as an older Conan, and he was sitting on a throne with a full beard like he was Odin or something, and it was really cool. But we never got to see that. We never got that King Conan sequel that everybody, like when they showed that, when I was in the theater, everybody was like gasping, like, ooh, they
Yeah.
you know, like they can't wait to see it again, you know, or to see him return.
That's right.
For whatever reason, the companies didn't capitalize on that, and it was a shame that they didn't. Even when they made Conan the Destroyer, I think that was just a way of trying to get the box office, but not really trying to continue what they had initially started. And there was even another film that Arnold starred in, Red Sonja, which is based on the comics. And though he wasn't playing Conan in the film, they gave you the impression that was a Conan-like character there, and they tried to capitalize by cheating the people. It was basically it wasn't even a co-starring role for Arnold in there. It was like a cameo. His character appeared a couple of times, and that was that.
Made you wonder, right? It made you wonder. I said, man, is that Conan after he's become king? Or I didn't know. You know, I was like, man.
Yeah. But this was a heck of a film, man. And the cast, headed up by a number of people that were very prominent in Hollywood at the time. Some were actors, and some were stage and dancers. But like here, we have basically a virtual roll call of people that appeared in the film. Mako, the Asian gentleman that's on the upper left corner there, he played in a lot of Hollywood television shows and films as a character actor. One of my favorite roles of his was in the early 80s, roughly around this time, when he played in a Chuck Norris film called An Eye for an Eye.
For an eye.
And he played Chuck Norris's martial arts master. And there's this great scene in there where they're fighting the bad guys in this house, and he's struggling with the bad guys. Now, Chuck Norris is doing his karate, supposedly learned from Mako, but Mako is such a small and slight man that he's kind of struggling with the guys that they're fighting. And in one instance, he grabs this telephone and just whacks the guy across the head with the phone. You would have to see the film to find out the humor of that, but it was so great. And he was a very good character actor, Mako. He also doubled for Diana Santo, or he was doubled by, Diana Santo in an episode of The Green Hornet where Kato was fighting a Chinese martial arts master. That's Bruce Lee. And it was Bruce Lee's friend, Dan Inosanto, who doubled for Mako, who was really not a martial artist in real life, but a very good actor. And there was a scene where Kato and Mako's character had a standoff. I'm sorry I went off track a little bit, but Mako was always
little history,
huge, prominent guy in Hollywood. Right next to him is Sandal Bergman. Sandal, she played Conan's love interest in this film, Valeria, and she was another one of those performers who had done a number of different projects, but amazingly, after this film, she kind of like disappeared. She didn't stick around Hollywood a long time after this film was made. She was very tall, 6 foot tall, Sandal. And the character that she played in this film alongside Conan, everybody who had fight scenes in here were specially trained by this one Japanese swordsman, and she looked like she could handle her sword and everything. She looked very capable as a fighter on screen in this film. I'll put this up here for a moment here. What you got here?
Yeah, I was gonna wait till you get to him. The brother on the far right hand side, the upper right hand side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me put
the other picture back up. I'm gonna explain something, but go ahead.
Yeah, and this is the next person is the famous actor James Earl Jones. Now this man here, everyone knows James Earl Jones. He's been prominent in Hollywood, recently retired, but has been just an impressionable performer, and with a voice that, is well respected. He is the voice of Darth Vader, for some who may not be able to put the face with the voice, but he did Darth Vader's voice in the Star Wars films, and in this film he played the character Thulsa Doom, also from the comics. But in this film, they used Doom as a snake tribes leader, and he could actually turn into a snake. He worshipped snakes. His people who worshipped him worshipped the snakes, and they had these symbols that Conan was obsessed with, of two snakes coming together over a emblem. And Conan remembered that from his childhood because Thulsa Doom had and his army had wiped out his village.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to this next gentleman that Drew wants to talk about right here. You got him.
Yeah. His name was oh, why am I having a brain fog? Stormy, what's his name? So I want to point out something about this guy.
That is what was his name? Torn. He had a foreign name. Let me go and check out the characters in there for the film. One moment while I pull this up.
Because there's something I wanted to point out about this fella. Man, what is his name? But I'm gonna tell you something real quick. Y'all see his physique.
Sven Othorsen. Sven Othorsen. That's his name.
Sven Othorsen.
I'm trying to remember his name.
Now, when I came home after seeing Conan, I went in the bedroom and started doing push-ups because of him. That's serious.
That dude was massive, just like Arnold was. And there was another actor, Bill Smith, who played in here. Ben Davison, who played a big character in this film. The Swords Master was played by Kiyoshi Yamasaki, and he was also a gentleman that taught them how to use the weapons in the scenes. You could actually see him in the film where he's teaching and training Conan how to use a samurai sword.
Right.
And I'll never forget, Drew, the scene with Conan out there, like standing out in the, I guess it wasn't a beach, but I remember blue sky being around him, and he unsheathed his sword, and he started doing his sword kata, I guess if you would call it. And he was doing the moves with his sword that his teacher had shown him with the samurai. But that sword that he had was not like a samurai sword. That was a bludgeoning broadsword that he had, specially cultivated for Conan, because he stole it from the tomb of a warrior, a deceased warrior and king, where he thought it was the man that he and his family worshipped, Crom. So he thought that Crom's sword was his gift from the gods. So he took that sword and had it what do they call it when they
repurposed,
resharpened it? Yeah, and he was doing that. But man, this film was so good on so many levels. I mean, as a kid, if you watch this movie for the first time, it leaves an impression on you, does it not?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And like I said, 7 years old when I saw this, and I was fascinated by the violence, and I mean, I wasn't stupid. I knew it was fake, but I was always entertained. Now, the reason why I pulled this character up, this is Road Pig from G.I. Joe. All right, this is a G.I. Joe doll. I actually had this, and what drew me to this character, if you look on the far right, does he not look like that actor?
Yeah.
And
they may have based him on it.
and that's what the rumor was. And I'm looking at it, I remember my dad taking me to, I don't know, it was a toy store called Playworld that used to be around here. He said, all right, pick one. And I said, yo, who's this? And I looked. I said, yo, this looks like homie from Conan. And it looks like him in the face and everything. It looks just like him. I was like, whoa. And the doll was even built a little different. That's him.
Yeah.
That's him. And I don't know where my stuff is now. But you know, I made the purchase. You know, it was yeah. This is like, yeah, I had that. That was it. I just wanted to show you that because it looked just like him. I said, man, and he was even the toy was even built a little bulkier than the other ones. So that's how I was like, man, you know, they had to base this guy off of the Conan character. But you know, that was great to see, man. I was like, man, they actually paying homage to this guy, man. It was pretty nice, man. I just wanted to show you that, man. That was real cool that they did that.
Yeah.
I always wondered. Always wondered.
Now, I'll say this about that guy, Sven Thorson, and the other gentleman down there. They were Thulsa Doom's main guard, you know.
Yeah.
And they were two big, giant, muscular warrior type dudes that were strong. But do you remember in one of the sequences when they were battling and your guy Sven, he took that mallet hammer thing that he was carrying and he hit that pillar?
Yeah.
And Conan ducked. But it hit that pillar, boom, and it knocked the whole thing over. And he was even amazed at his own strength.
Yeah, he was looking like, oh, I did that.
Yeah, he looked like he was like, damn, you know. But this movie was good on so many levels. Oh my goodness. Just revisiting this and thinking about it. The actor that played Conan's little, I guess you could call him a jester, and he befriended Conan and traveled with him along the lands. Subutai, that's the one with the fur hat and the big thick mustache. Subutai was played by a gentleman by the name of Jerry Lopez. And they had him looking like he was like one of those Mongolians or something.
Yeah.
You remember when Conan first run across him, and he come out of the home of that woman, and Subutai was like, "Food. I need food." And Conan was like, Conan looked over at him. He was like, why should anybody give you food? He was like, because when the wolves come, I'll be able to fight.
Yep. He said, how can you fight when you're chained up? What are you doing chained up? He said, dinner for wolves. That was funny, man.
Yeah, he was funny. And you know what was funny too? Because Conan was chased by them wolves, remember?
Yeah, he sure was.
When he fell into that pitted place where he found the sword from whom he thought to be Crom. So, you know, he had a little compassion for the guy because he knew what it was like. So when he come up out of there, he had that sword and everything. But him and Subutai, they became good friends and they running around. Remember Conan backed into that camel and he turned around and punched it because he was drunk and knocked the camel out?
Oh, that was funny. That was funny.
Yeah, man. This movie was so good, man. It was so good.
It had everything.
And the lady on the end there, she played that princess that Thulsa Doom and his tribe were going to sacrifice. And Conan and them, they saved her because they were going to throw her into that pit where that snake was. But the snake was Thulsa Doom. Remember?
Yeah, yep.
Because when they were having the ceremony, he was sitting up there. Let me see. I think I got the image. He was sitting up there like this. And they were playing him. But listen, man, Thulsa Doom was the devil, bro. He was the devil. The devil incarnate. Because, listen, when they were doing this, first of all, snake worshiping and all of that, that's a given, right?
Yeah.
Associated with darkness. But another thing about this movie, Drew and chat, this film was R-rated like a son of a gun. Dude, they was having orgies, man.
Do you remember the soup that they were?
And the girl reached in the soup and pulled her hand out and started
Oh my
nibbling
God!
on it.
I was like, ew, what's going on here?
Yeah,
There was an orgy with a bowl of soup with human body parts in it. Oh, that was hell, bro.
yeah.
Oh,
But Doom, he was like, you know, he was doing this, and I don't know, those body parts, those were the people that they had taken captive or whatever. I don't know, but they were savages, man.
they were organized savages. Those are devils. Organized.
Yeah.
Savages.
Yeah, and they were like, you know, they and everything, the music and everything went right along with everything they were doing. And let's talk about the music for the film for a moment, Drew.
Yeah.
The soundtrack was one of the most awesome action film soundtracks I ever heard, man. And you know, like, you know, if you hear Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon playing, right? You know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you hear Conan's theme play, dude, that beat and that song, man, and it went well with the action. It went well with the action. There were a couple of sequences in the film where there was something happening, and then Conan was, you know, getting into the battles and whatnot, and then all of a sudden that thing kicks in.
Yeah.
And then he pulls his sword out. Man, that was on time, man. That was on time. But yeah, he was awesome, man. Conan was something else, man.
Man, that soundtrack, which is on YouTube, the whole album is on YouTube. That puts you in a frame of thought. I know a guy at the gym that listens to it when he's doing legs. It's funny.
Yeah.
Yep, it's real funny. Everything, and that's what makes a good film, Chat and Stormy. That's what makes a good film. When you have the actors in the right cast, right setting, and the perfect soundtrack to go with it. And like you said, when you hear certain music, you think of certain things. All right, and if you're our age, or if you're just a fan of this stuff, you know the Conan theme when you hear it, just like you know the Star Trek or Star Wars or Superman theme when you hear it. You know what that is. When you hear the Conan theme music, you know what's going on. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Look at Rashid. He said, I never noticed the snake holes in the background until now. Yeah, that's something that blew right by me for years. When he said on the phone, and the snake holes in the back. I didn't peep that until much later. Yeah.
Yep. Even in this photo right here, with Sandal stooping down there, that's a snake on the side of her that's been sculpted into the architecture.
Yeah.
These people were real. I mean, they were
well calculated.
Yeah, they were devil worshippers, man. And Thulsa Doom was the devil. He was the devil in this instance, you know. And she was a thief, but she was also a warrior too. And she had this thing that she would say to Conan and Subutai, because they ended up becoming a trio. She ended up being Conan's love interest, but they would go on these quests together, and she had this thing that she would say to them, do you want to live forever? And then she'll do something daring, you know, like dive off of the top of a pillar or something and climb a wall or whatever. But this was really well done. The film, I remember Conan going across the terrain, and he was trying to track down Thulsa Doom, and he came across this group of let's just call them peace lovers, huh? And and they were like throwing flowers and playing little banjos and stuff. And Conan walked up, and he, you know, he tried to infiltrate and become like a part of them, but he was such a big muscular dude. He knew he couldn't just walk in there like he was all savage and stuff from the lands. So he hid around the side, and one of those guys came out there, and the guy was like, "What are you doing?" or something, and Conan was like, "Oh, I'm lost," or whatever. And the guy was looking at Arnold's body, and he was like, "Is that you?" You know, he's touching him and stuff. And Arnold knew he was a fake right away. So he told her what? He was like, "These robes, is this what you wear, a part of this group?" And he was like, "Yes, it's all I have." Man, Conan was like, he was like, "Good, that's all you'll ever need." He took old boy's robes.
Oh man. Man,
But
if you
he was getting all turned on by Arnold.
it was the most.
He was like, "Can we go over here where no one can see?"
Yo, you know, yo, as a kid watching that. Now watch this. I'm 7. But as a kid watching that, I knew that was wrong.
Right.
I was like, what's wrong with him?
He told.
I remember my mom's looking at my father like, I looked at my parents. My mom's looked at my pops like, pops like, Lord.
Dude. But see, I'm going to tell you something. When men were men in cinematic films, right? Because there's no doubt we saw Conan with the ladies several times in the movies, right? They even said they had a moment where they explained it. They was like, he was bred from the finest of stock. You remember? They brought a woman into his room, his chambers, and she was afraid of him because he was just a savage. They had him killing in those tournaments and stuff. He just kill. So they brought women in there, and he was looking, you know, he was kind of scared of them at first, but then he figured it out real soon.
He figured it out fast.
Oh, man.
My gosh. I knew that was wrong.
This movie has some classic one-liners and just action and stuff. It was always something happening, right? Always. Man.
We knew from an early time that was weird behavior. Man. But you know what scene got me? Remember he met the witch in the forest?
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. That was one of, I had to see it the second time because the first time I didn't see the smashing of the flesh because, I had a hand over my eyes.
Yeah.
But I remember he ran into this fine chick in the forest and he ended up, smashing. And it turned out he go.
Would you like to warm yourself by my fire?
Hey, man. Look, man. There was a hidden message in that little scene. They didn't have to do that scene at all, but there was a hidden message in that scene.
Of course.
Yeah, man. And only men will get it. Well, women get it too. But it's like, yo, not all Buddhist.
When she broke out and left, Conan was like, Crom. When he was always amazed by something, that's what he would say. Crom.
I have this one Conan comic book, and it's the only one I ever bought. And I gotta tell you, it gotta be the greatest. I gotta look at my collection because you know what happened. You know what sucks? The cover came off, and I lost it. But I have the comic book, and it's the 3 Deaths of Conan. It was 3 stories where, all right, he goes in to this tomb to go steal something because that's what he did. He came on this gem and this wizard dude that was all deformed and crazy captured him and he starts playing cards with him. Like he started reading tarot cards. That's what it was. and he says, "Let me read you your futures." All right. The first future, it was one story drawn in a certain way. He is stranded on a boat or whatever, and he survives, and he goes to this town and gets with this girl, and he saves her from certain death from these thugs, and he sleeps with her. Then he lays down with her, and then she poisons him with some drink. He wakes up in a cell, and she was like, he was like, "Well, what are we here for?" He's like, "Yo, they're gonna feed us to this monster in the pit." And Conan was about that life. He had no shields or nothing. He says, "Well, I don't care what's down there. I don't care who it's killing. It will know pain when I meet it." So it's Conan's turn. They throw him in the pit, and this big old wolf creature on hind legs comes out. He starts fighting the thing. It bear hugs him, and he gouges the eyeball out. He's fighting the thing. He's stabbing it with human bones, but eventually he loses, and that's the first death. The second death, he was on the battlefield, and then all these zombies start resurrecting. What happened was ghouls that come to the battlefield, and they naturally clean the battlefield. They start eating the dead. And Conan was still alive, and he says, "Yo, you eating my dead men. Come eat a person that's alive." And he starts fighting the ghouls, but eventually the ghouls kill him. That's the second death. The third death, because he's doing the tarot cards, the third death, the story was incomplete because he ended up breaking the spell and killing the dude and taking the gem. So as he's leaving, he looks at the tarot cards and he says, "Man, this man done told me I'm gonna die 2 ways." He says, "I have to find out what's the third." He grabs the card, picks it up, looks at it, and he laughs and throws the card. And when I turned the page, the card shows a king sitting there on the throne. He doesn't die, he becomes a king. So I was like, man, that story is so dope, man. But I have it in storage. I'm gonna take pictures of it and upload it on YouTube. It's a great story, man. It's a great story. So there is no 3 deaths. The third and final death wasn't a death. It's the tarot cards tell the wizard he's gonna become a king. So that was crazy, man. That was crazy.
Yeah. This was amazing film, man. I think when I saw it in the theaters on its initial run, might have saw it 3 times at that time. Because we used to go to the movies like, on the weekends. A group of us would go downtown to the show, and I think we saw it. I saw it like on a Saturday, and then saw it again on a Sunday, and then when it was still playing, I saw it one more time. And recently they just released it on 4K.
Ooh,
and
that must look good.
Yeah, I picked it up. It's amazing. It's both films, the first and second film, but in 4K, it looks so amazing, man. I remember in this film, they had like dismemberments, they had broken bones, they had gouging, they had beheadings. Dude, everything that was savage about that world, it was depicted in the film. And it was like, even down to the orgies and stuff. That's like, because they like, you remember when because Mako, he did the narration. He was narrating the story. And you remember when he was talking about, with Conan, talking about their gods, and he had told Conan, Conan was like, "Who is your god?" And he was telling them.
Yeah.
And then Conan was like, "My god is Crom. Crom lives in the earth, deep in the earth," and everything. He was saying all of that, and dude was like, "Your god lives under my god."
My god's up there. Your god lives underneath it. That was funny. Conan looked, Thought about it. Said, man, shut up. You know what I knew? I picked up right away when he said chrome. What he meant was chrome, metal.
Yeah.
That's what he meant. Chrome metal. I
Yep.
picked that up right away. But
The riddle of steel.
riddle is still, yep.
Yeah, the riddle of steel. Because when his dad was teaching him, you know, as a little boy, he was like, men you can't trust, women you can't trust. He pulled that sword up and showed Conan. He was like, this you can trust.
That's right.
Man. And Thulsa Doom's people came into their camp. And
that was brutal how they did that,
man. Just wiped them out. And set some of them on fire, slayed some of them by way of the sword, spears. They were just savages, man. And when you reflect back upon it, you realize that when they were doing stuff like that, they were taking whatever value from other people in the provinces and taking it back to Thulsa Doom for, you know, his own riches or whatever. It's like robbing the people or something.
It's like things that Vikings really
wiping their race out at the same time.
Some things that Vikings, from what I understand, because I'm not super educated, but Vikings really did that on a broad level. Get on their boats and go places, bringing disease and killing people, stealing the women. That's what Vikings did. You know, that's, you know, I don't know how that's celebrated now, but, you know, because, you know, so a lot of it is fantasy. And
now check this out. You know how we talked about the Incredible Hulk in the Avengers, how, you know, Thanos beat him down and he never got his get back. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
And then we talked about, like, in Superman 2, when Clark goes back to the diner to get that trucker bully, he got him back. Even in Man of Steel, that bully in that bar, Clark got him back, because when he went outside, he finally left the bar after being in there and wouldn't leave. When he did go outside, he looked up at his truck, and his truck is all hoisted up on these telephone poles. It's like, he was like, how the hell that happened?
How the hell?
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is this. Thulsa Doom decapitated Conan's mom right when he was standing there with her, holding her hand. And Doom was looking at her, and he charmed her with his snake eyes, because she had a sword in her hand ready to defend her son. And because remember, when she took sword up, his bodyguards were standing there. They were about to do something, and then he told them no. And then he got off the horse and he grabbed a sword from one of them, or they held it to him like this, you know. And he walked over to her, and he was just looking at her. And that was a powerful scene, because there was no dialogue. It was just eye contact and the swell of the music. And there was just like this kind of thing where there was drama building up. And if you were seeing the film for the first time, you may have even thought that he might have showed mercy. But he didn't. And the way that they depicted her being finished, you just saw hair drop in front of you like that. And then Conan was holding her hand, and her hand just slipped away out of his hand. That was very powerful, man. Very powerful.
You know what else was crazy? Let me go back to when they came to Conan's village. When he beheaded his mother and the head went flying through the air in slow motion. It was 1982, y'all. You know, that was crazy. Like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, what? They really let that happen? It was crazy. I was like, yo, I felt that. I was like, oh man. And then kidnap him and have him pushing a log in a merry-go-round for 10 years, damn near.
Yeah, they had. Remember when they first put him on that? He was on there with several others.
Yeah.
Then he was on there by himself. And then that's when he started to get big because he was pushing that thing by himself. And they were like whipping him and stuff. They were, thrashing him.
That's actually when I got older. I looked that up. They said this is a slow way to get big, but you can actually get that big doing that.
I believe it.
It's all legs, lats, shoulders, triceps, biceps. And they said, you know, doing things like that, he was doing it when he was a kid. He could barely reach it when he was a kid, but they had him on there through his teenage years. And by the time they threw him in the pit to fight, he was like maybe 20. Yeah. So he was doing that for 10 years. You know, so they say that's like a full, oh man. Remember he was in there scared and dude bit him? All that blood came out?
Yeah.
But he warmed up to it real fast because he ended up killing that dude. And then he became a pit legend.
Right.
Oh man, but yo, I don't understand if you hear you had to have seen this movie. If you haven't watched it in a long time, just go back and watch it, man. This is you appreciate it later. Story wise, didn't need that much special effects. In fact, the special effects was cartoonish, but the movie didn't live or die by special effects. You understand what I'm saying? And this was great. As a matter of fact, you can go to your local comic store or let's say, I don't know if y'all have a Hot Topic somewhere in Chicago. They sell the shirt with the serpent logo on it. They sell the shirt. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna go buy one. Haven't seen it in a minute, but I always said I was gonna pick it up. Good stuff, man.
Do you think that this is Arnold's best film?
This was his breakout film, so I'm gonna go say yes. I'm gonna say yes. Because what I didn't realize, this is the first time I took notice to Arnold. I heard the name, but again, there's no social media back then. But like I knew who he was, you know, Mr. Olympia and things of that nature. But I really took to him because of this film. And this film, because what I didn't know is that prior to this, he was acting on like TV shows and stuff like that. This was his breakout role right here. This. So I'm gonna say yes. And pulling up the rear would be Terminator, which he wasn't even supposed to be the Terminator. He read the script. You know what, Stormy? I'll save that. We need to do a Nerds on that. I'll save that.
Yeah.
I'll save that. You know, but this right here, I would say yes. His breakout film. This is the film that put him on the map. Because he was acting prior to this. Yep. Now, I don't know what the hell he was doing with those things in his hands, but Jesus Christ.
Man, he had become a straight killer by the time he became the champ of that pit. They had to turn his ass loose. Remember? They was like, you're free to go. He didn't want to leave.
They just put him out. He didn't know nothing else.
Get out of here. We're tired of feeding your big ass.
He was killing. He enjoyed it. He embraced what they made. He was killing and eating food and getting women. It was like, man, take your sword and get out. Gosh.
It was like, we created a damn monster.
Yep.
Because they couldn't kill him. It's like he had become an expert. Conan had become an expert, man. It was like, hey, remember when they asked him, what is the best in life? And that guy said, wind in your hair, the sun on your back, and this and that. And they was like, no, Conan, what is best in life? What did he say, Drew?
He said, It was something very barbaric. But the
He
last
said,
part
crush
was
your enemies, see them driven before you,
take
and
the
hear
women.
the lamentation of their women.
Yep, take the women. I was like, oh man, which is
And then they
exactly what
all
they did
said,
to his village.
yeah, remember when they was all sitting around drinking, and when Conan said that, they all toasted his ass like, yeah.
Yep. And his was crazy. That's exactly what they did to him. That's
Oh
exactly what
man.
they did to him. Crazy stuff, man.
But the first guy who gave his answer, the wind in your, no, he said the sun on your skin, the wind in your hair, or whatever. They was like, no. That's why I said there's so many, lines of dialogue in this film. It's like it's just great. It's
So
great.
many one-liners. It was good, man. So many one-liners. You know what? I'm a watch this. I might watch it tonight, man. This is a good film, man. I ain't watching it in a long
It is.
time.
It really is, bro. It's a good film. Very good. It has the right amount of comedy, the right amount of drama, the right amount of action. But where I was going, and I got off track when I said about the Hulk not getting his get back against Thanos. The Russos really dropped a huge bomb in that, but it also shows you how storytelling has changed because they didn't want to deal with this whole thing about Hulk being overpowered, but they didn't mind showing Captain Marvel being overpowered. I don't like that. But anyway, where I was going with that about Conan, when he exacted his vengeance on Thulsa Doom, he gave him that special that avenged his mom.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. See, and that was, and when it happened, you was like, oh, and then he went for it and did it, and it was like, whoa. And then you kind of almost celebrated with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he didn't even celebrate, but he kind of sat down and reflected on it all because he had spent a good portion of his life looking for that guy, and then he burned his castle down. Remember?
Sure did.
He burned his castle down.
Sure did.
Dude, I don't know what they were thinking about, but they had to continue that damn story. And that Conan the Destroyer was nowhere near the level of what they. In fact, if Conan the Destroyer was made first, it wouldn't have been no second film.
No, because there wasn't a third. Conan the Destroyer. Family, if you watch Conan the Barbarian and watch Conan the Destroyer, you understand it's two different writers. It's like, now, okay. So too jokey. It was, it was crazy. You pretty much, that audience that went to see the Barbarian saw the Destroyer because of the Barbarian movie. You know what I mean? And, it wasn't a bad film, but it was two different. You could tell the writing was different. I didn't enjoy it as much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think what the brother say? Yeah, Conan came out first, brother. Champion Heart. Conan came out before the Terminator. Terminator came out later. But yeah, I'm glad Conan the Barbarian came out before the Destroyer, because the Destroyer was a damn writer. Just hijacked it. You know what I mean? The writing is everything, man. Ask the MCU, but we ain't gonna go there. Whom I might add, Conan is a Marvel comic books character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. Shout out to them. You know what I mean? But I'm glad this came out first. Goodness. I'm just glad. Whew. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch this. Yeah. And the whole soundtrack is on YouTube, y'all. Just put in Conan the Barbarian soundtrack. It'll come up. It'll come. Good old Arnold. Yeah, Derek Gaines, it was a big letdown. It was. It was a big letdown.
Let's talk about the fight scenes. At the Wizard World Comic Con here locally here in Illinois, the guy who headed up the company that designed swords for films like Lord of the Rings, Conan, other films like Crow.
Crow. There was two films, Crow and Cull.
Right, Crow, the one with the blades on the thing.
That was Cull.
Okay. The guy.
Crow, okay, go ahead. Because
the guy whose company was behind designing a lot of those weapons for those films, he was at the comic convention, and I got a chance to see Conan's sword, and it was an exact replica. It weighed 20 pounds, and I took pictures with it, you know. When I also got off track with what I was saying about Conan in the film, when Arnold was out there and it was like he was on the beach with the blue sky behind him, and he unsheathed his sword and he started going and doing his sword kata and everything.
Mm-hmm.
To know that sword weighed 20 pounds and he was doing it and he was twirling it like he was, that's impressive, you know, because Arnold was a big dude, you know, but that shows the strength he had and his wrists and everything, because, you know, he was capable. But that sword was very nice. It had a blade, and then before you got near the handle, it was like a portion of it where you can grab it, you know, before you grab the handle. So the just above that part where you could grab with your hand was the sword itself. Then it had that part where you could grab with your hand. I thought that was a very interesting design on that sword.
It's interesting you brought up Cull. Do you remember his comic book that was also by Marvel?
Yeah, but it's been so long.
Yeah,
I never read it though.
They referred to him as Conqueror. I'm gonna read you something, because there was something. I'm glad you brought that up, Stormy. I'm gonna read you something. This is something that I heard back in the 80s, and when I researched it a while, like back then, I said, "Oh man, that's crazy." The Mirrors of Sun Thun finds Cull becoming progressively more introspective. The former barbarian is left lost in the contemplations of philosophy. Now, y'all don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but listen to this. In the Conan the Barbarian story, Shadows of the Skull, it is revealed that Conan is a direct descendant of Cull. They're related. The two characters are related. Cull the Conqueror and Conan the Barbarian they're in the same bloodline. They take place in two different. I think Cull the Conqueror is more, you know, King Arthur-esque back then or whatever. And like about 1,000 years later, that bloodline, Conan, comes from that bloodline. And I remember hearing that. Yeah, we should do we should talk about that too. Did we do a Barbarian movies before?
No.
We should do that. That's because Cole damn sure had a movie. He damn sure did. Derek Gaines says, "Why was Grace Jones in that movie?" She was hot in Hollywood for a little while. She did Conan the Barbarian. She did the James Bond film. What was that, View to a Kill? I think it was. That was the one she was in.
Dude, do you know that Roger Ebert, the film critic, I'll never forget this, but he said when that film came out, he thumbed it down and everything and talked about how it was much beneath the original film and everything, but he was like, at least they could have did something interesting with the story. I mean, at least Conan and Grace Jones's character could have had a relationship or something. I was like,
come on, bro.
Man, you freak. Don't nobody want to see Conan and Grace Jones getting it on. What the hell are you talking about, Roger Ebert?
Come on.
Yeah, I was like, if I could have reached through my TV screen, I would have punched him in the face. He was saying, because he and Gene Siskel used to have that show. Not Sneaking in the Movies. That's off of Robert Townsend's.
Yeah. Sneaking.
Remember that?
Yeah, I know.
At the movies. It's at the movies.
Yeah.
Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert.
Wasn't they out in Chicago too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But he's sitting up there talking about he would have liked to have seen a relationship between Conan's character and Grace Jones' character. I was like, man, you must.
Man, listen. She but James Bond, Roger Moore, James Bond hit it. We was in the theater like, no. And she got in the bed. We was like, no, come on. Roger Moore beat, man. Well, he ain't beat nothing in real life. He was he was he was that, so he really hit. But the character James Bond beat, man, they killed at the end of that movie. I was mad as hell. Yeah, that Hollywood Shuffle skit was funny as hell. He said, we gave that movie the finger.
Yeah, right. Sneaking in the movies. That was so funny, man.
Oh, man. That was
we gotta do something on him too, Robert Townsend, because
he got some hits.
He had a little stretch there
where
he came after Spike Lee, but he brought something different.
Yeah.
He had the Hollywood Shuffle, he had Meteor Man, he had the 5 Heartbeats.
And he had a TV show that was on for a couple of seasons.
Yeah,
Robert Townsend did some good stuff.
He did some good stuff, man, and we don't even hear of his name being mentioned anymore.
Yeah, he threw a celebrity basketball game in the '90s that my dad got me into, and it was a bunch of New York Giants playing basketball. Dave Meggett, Carl Banks, those guys back in the '90s. That was the first time I stood next to Dave Meggett was my size, but his legs was like huge, man. He dunked the basketball during the game, and Carl Banks was just a big old field brother. Crazy. Man, look at Arnold, bro. Vintage Arnold. And that's his hair, y'all. Yo, you know what? We spoke about this before. We spoke about Red Sonja earlier. Let me tell you. We spoke about this before. Right now, if you can get some good writers and leave the jokey joke stuff that they got going around Hollywood right now, would you want to see a movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger returns as Conan and he's already king, and he tells a story about how he got his kingdom, and let the CGI begin as he's telling the story? Would you like to see that?
See what again? How you put that?
Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger returns as Conan, and he's a king.
Right.
And he's sitting on that throne in the same pose that they left us hanging with. But it's really Arnold now. And then he starts telling his son his story about how he became king.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
I'd love to see that. And they could just CGI his face on, like how they did in Terminator. I don't know how much it would cost. Yo, they could do some amazing stuff with that CGI. how did you feel when you first saw Ant-Man and they did that with what's his name? They made him look like how he did in the 80s. I was like, yo.
Listen, man, when they did that to Tony Stark in that film, when they made him look like he looking less than zero, remember that?
Yeah.
They
it's
made
crazy
Robert
because we know
Downey
how these
Jr.
guys
like
look back then.
20 years old.
Yeah. So they could do it. I don't know what the budget is on that, but I'd watch it, get some good writing, bring in some good writers, and oh man, that'd be like ridiculous. Ooh. Yeah, Kevin Sorbo played Crow. Oh, I remember this scene. Man, when they caught Conan, they effed him up, didn't they?
Yeah.
Nah,
but the one thing about those three, man, they were in it together. You know what I'm saying? That's what I liked about them. The camaraderie between them, you know, they just it was well done, man. It was well done. How about this? This is the image that we were talking about.
Yeah. Oh man, come on, bro. When the movie ended and we saw that, we just knew that was going to be the sequel. Left us hanging. Left us hanging. Come on, bro. Now, champion, what I'm saying is, you could start off the film with Arnold really sitting there looking like that. But Arnold's he is like 85 years old. But what I'm saying is, if he tells the story about how he got his kingdom, you could just put his face on some dude, Diesel. We ain't gonna really know, no. I mean, he can probably barely walk now.
That's just like when they did Black Adam. They took the Rock's face and put it on another dude. When he was like supposed to be skinny and everything.
Yeah.
Over there before, when they were trying to get his son and stuff, and they used camera tricks and CGI for that. And some of the best CGI that was ever used for body doubling and stuff was in that movie The Terminator, when they show Arnold as a young Terminator. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, when he come out of there, when that steam was going, and then he come walking out of there.
And you know what's crazy, Stormy? You knew it was coming because when it opened up and he did the slow turn, you heard the music. I was like, I saw it in the movies.
Yeah.
I was like, no. I was like, no. And when they put the camera up, it was Arnold's face. The theater went nuts. I live for things like that. The theater was like, oh, it was crazy. You gotta do that.
Yeah.
You gotta do that.
That was some of the best I seen. And what they did with little Steve in the Captain America film, how they made him a little skinny, scrawny dude.
Yeah.
That was well done.
Yeah, Anthony, how they did Michael Douglas and Ant-Man. He came out like it was 1985.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, how they do that? Amazing stuff. Now, I don't know how much it will cost for them to do that for an entire film.
That Will Smith movie, they did it. The Gemini Man. Remember, they had him looking like a young Will Smith, Fresh Prince. He was fighting them and stuff.
The old Will Smith to the mid-age Will Smith to the young kid, 16-year-old Will Smith.
Yeah.
Weird stuff, man. They could do it. They'd make their money back because they.
You know what I say when I see stuff like that, Drew? I'm like, yeah, that's some pretty damn good special effects, all right. Just come on out and tell us that you cloning motherfuckers for real, huh? Because that's what that is. You can say, oh, the special effects, those guys, it costs a few $1 billion to make the. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Man, you saw they clone Tyrone? Did you watch that?
Yeah, I just watched it a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Man, didn't that make you think?
I've been and thought about it. I thought about it when I was at home. I forget how old I was then, watching the news, and they was telling us about Sue the sheep that they had cloned. Remember?
Yeah.
That was like, I don't know if you remember when they had that. It was on the news.
Yeah, I
They
know.
was like they had cloned a sheep, and they had it on the news, and they brought her out and everything, and they brought the other one out, and it was like, yeah, this is a clone of Sue. They finally cloned the sheep. I was like, y'all just coming around. In other words, what you're showing us is them chickens that we like and frying and everything. They ain't what they really are, because it's like there ain't that damn many chickens in the world with all these restaurants and hamburger joints and everything, steak houses and ribeyes. Come on, man. Ain't that many hogs. You can love bacon all you want to, but all that bacon, it ain't the real bacon. It's some of it's breeding in the world, man.
There ain't that much breeding in the world. It's impossible.
So it's like they doing this stuff, man. And I'm gonna tell you a real movie to watch, bro. The Boys from Brazil. Watch that film. That movie right there it's actually from this Conan era, 1982, 83. Boys from Brazil. I had heard about that film a lot. And then like a couple years ago, I finally went online and found the Blu-ray, and I bought it. And I sat there and watched that movie. I was like, okay, if you watched They Clone Tyrone, then this is They Clone Tyrone back in 83.
You know what goofed me up about that? The whole time you watched They Clone Tyrone, the whole time they didn't say that name until the very end, where he's sitting on his couch. He's like, yo, Tyrone, they cloned you. He said, Tyrone, what'd he say? Tyrone, what are you doing on TV? And he looked. Because he was a different dude and a whole other. I was like, what the hell? Oh, that's Tyrone. Bro, man, they these writers, they be putting us up on game, man. They be putting us up on game, man. That was crazy. He said, I stopped eating fried chicken 4 months after they watched. Bro, I don't eat meat, y'all. I don't be wanting to scare y'all, but people are like, you don't eat meat? No. There ain't that much fried chicken in the world. Listen, if you live in New York, Kennedy Fried, Mama's Fried, these are chicken spots, we call them. Mama's Fried Chicken, Kennedy Fried Chicken. That's not even including Kentucky Fried Chicken or Popeyes. Where all this chicken coming from?
Not only that, but you like to eat eggs with your breakfast and everything, right? Where all the damn eggs coming from? If you ain't got that many chickens, you can't have that many eggs. So come on, man. Listen, that's a whole different subject and everything, but at the same time, it's time for people to wake up out of that slumber, bro. Yeah, they actually telling you now that you got fake fruit out there. Fake fruit.
Fake fruit.
If it's fake, what are they giving it to you for?
I told you the fishing story with my idiot boy, right? My idiot friend told this girl, yeah, man, we went out, the tilapia was biting, man, so we got some tilapia. I'm like, I looked at him, I said, is he on the phone for real? He told his girlfriend, he was with us, we went fishing, and told her that we caught a lot of tilapia. And then got off the phone with her, and I'm looking at him like, you must really want to die. You know, this fool didn't know. Stormy, my boy, we pulled over on the Jersey Turnpike and just stared at him like, yo, bro, what do you really said that? He was like, what? He said, oh God. Okay. Don't say you was with me. Tilapia. I'll never forget that. Ridiculous, man. Oh man. But shout out to Conan. Shout out to Conan. Church's Fried Chicken. Yeah, I remember all that.
Dude. It's time to give your final thoughts. We done went through this show so fast.
Oh shoot.
Remember, I was telling you, I was like, maybe we'll stop a little early so you'll have a
Yeah.
break. You know? And it's like, man, we right at the end of the thing.
Damn. Well,
But you see, this is what happens when we do this show. It's like we just be flowing on here,
going
man.
on it, man. Yeah, man. Final thoughts. If you haven't watched Conan ever, watch it. The one from '82, not the reboot. Don't even bother with that. I don't recommend it. If you haven't seen it in a few years, watch it, please. You're not gonna be disappointed. Shout out to Arnold. I would like some writers, real writers, to get together and bring Arnold back to make a close the deal on how he became a king. Arnold's still alive. He's in great shape for his health. And get that CGA popping, get a budget, because the people that saw the original, many of us are still around, and you can get our money. You know what I mean? So please, get it going. And again, great show, Stormy. I live for Mondays, man. I love it, man. This is great.
Yeah. And this was just an awe-inspired moment that I thought of this one. When I think of it, Friday night or Saturday, I thought, because we still got some other ones that we have written down and everything, but I was like, man, this will be a good one right here, and it turned out to be a lot better than I would think,
Yeah.
And I did write down Weekend at Bernie's, so I do got that as part of the future considerations. So
You may as well write down Terminator. We can circle back and do that.
yeah, actually I will. Let me got my little sheet right here. Yes, sir. RoboCop.
Oh, woo-wee.
That first one. Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
And how violent. Oh, man, I can't wait to talk about that. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I'm up out of here. I'll be over at Pep Talk. About to have some fun over there. Something funny happened, so I'm going to talk about it.
Cool.
So salute to y'all. And we'll be back here next Monday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, bro. Have a good evening.
You too, brother.
All right. Yeah, so we come to an end of another Nerds. And before we sign completely off, I want to go ahead and allow us to hear from our sponsor, the Focus Ball.
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a Focus Ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a Focus Ball. When you train with the Focus Ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit, making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the Focus Ball now.
Yes. And so, with that being said, this is the end of another wonderful show. I want to thank everybody that came out to participate with us in our recollection and discussion on the cult film classic Conan the Barbarian, an outstanding piece of a sword and sorcery fantasy type epic starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Very interesting film, and has always left an impression on those who saw it, especially upon its first run. But I appreciate each and every one of you that came in, and we'll be back next Monday for another Nerds. I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace to everybody out there.